Alright, so I'm here today and I'm going to make my mother and grandmother's meatballs, and I'm going to give you guys the recipe. So what I've got in the bowl first, I've got 2 pounds of ground veal and 2 pounds of ground beef, ground chuck. I like using the veal. I don't use any pork. Pork just seems to make it a lot tougher, so that's already in there. I already chopped up. I did my 2 onions and a couple cloves of garlic in the processor. It makes it a whole lot nicer. I kind of puree a little bit so you don't have big chunks of onion inside the meatballs, but you still get the flavor of the onion and the garlic in there. So that's in there. So now I also got to put in here fresh thyme, fresh basil, and here's the kicker. So I use curly parsley. I don't use Italian parsley. I use curly parsley. So we'll just a good handful of that or so. I'm going to rough chop that before I put it in the processor. Just makes it a lot easier. Found out it just doesn't bunch up. So let's see how that goes. So that goes in there. Come on now. Alright, there you go. We'll just pulse it a few times. Alright, that looks good. That goes in there. Let's get it all out. I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my mother and my grandmother, and just really picked up a lot of recipes. All of our family members, we all cook in the kitchen. So okay, inside of that, I've got 2 beaten eggs. It's already there. I'm gonna do some salt and pepper. Like that. And then I use pecorino. I don't use Parmesan. I use pecorino. Pecorino's got a sharper bite, but I like the taste of it. So probably a good 3/4 of a cup in there. I do use a little bit of breadcrumb, not much. So, and this is just the feel. This is kind of just to bind it together a little bit. That's about it. All right, and some oregano. I like the dried over the fresh. I think it just gives a better flavor to it. So this is a pretty good helping of that. All right. Now, my mom always used a little bit of cold tap water just to kind of mix it up, and you kind of go along accordingly and see how it goes as you mix it. So there's only one way to do this. That's this here. So now with the 2 pounds of veal and 2 pounds of ground chuck, it's going to make about 24 meatballs. So, really mix it well. Man, it smells great. Now my mom, she used to taste the meat, the raw meat, to check where the flavor was. So I don't do that. But she always did. I always remember her doing that. So a little bit more water. It's getting a little thick. So what do you think, Annie? What do you got? My dog keeping a close eye on any scraps that might drop. So this smells incredible. I never liked meatballs that were really dense and had no flavor to it. So pureeing the onions and the garlic in there really is kind of key. So a little bit more water. All right. So you don't want to mix it too stiff. Just break it up really good. All right. So let me wash my hands real quick. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way. Now I've got my mother always fried the meatballs, and that was a treat because we could just sit there and we would sneak one and take one as it, as it was sitting there cooling down, fried them. They were really great. I fried them for a long time, but now it seems like I get a better texture when I bake them. So what I do is I bake them with a little bit of water. So we're going to show you that right now too. Move this out of the way. All these. So what I did, I took two 13 by 9 Pyrex cookie sheets, baking pans, and this will make be 12 in each actually. So I used the scooper to kind of get a rough idea, and it's just a feel, like whatever size you want, So, so about that size right there. So, all right. So we're going to continue doing this. Don't get me wrong, I love the flavor of them fried, and just it has a really good, puts a nice crunch on the outside, and but it takes a lot of time, and with the grease, cooking with the grease, and kitchen getting dirty, so I just opted to start baking them. So, and then what I do is when I put them in the oven, I fill this up with